Less than 12 hours, we'll be giving you the latest election results from the midterm election. We've been doing that for nearly 75 years as Utah's oldest TV station.
Of course, our Craig Wirth has boxes of old pictures and tapes of past election news. It is a nostalgic look at TV and election night coverage, and it's worth watching.
There was nothing digital about election night on TV. It ran on paper and big sets with red, white, and blue bunting, even though we were still black and white TV. And it was always called Election Central. The way it worked is the Tribune got the results first from calls throughout Utah. They scribbled the numbers, and in between dozens of bottles of soda, kids ran back and forth to the TV stations. One of those kids was Jack Gellivan. He would rush the numbers to the people on the set,
where a bunch of people transcribed those numbers onto a big whiteboard. Well, actually, it was a big piece of paper. They used felt pens.
And for some reason, the folks were perched on top of folding tables set in the air.
Nobody had a camera that would go higher than like the knee height of the person who was doing the transcribing of the numbers onto the white paper. And it was always very busy because there were more people than there was room for on the riser.
And then it would be back to the Tribune to get more results. This 1952 promotion showed that the results were available on radio, on the phone, and on KDYL TV. That was our station back then. One year, the Tribune shot a picture the next morning of the janitor who had to clean up hours and hours of results that slowly came in, one call and maybe a dozen votes at a time. And 60 years ago, we advertised that we were using swell, space-aged IBM machines to tabulate the results. But it sure looked cool. Well, maybe not as cool as when we would cut away to the network coverage.
ABC News presents complete nationwide coverage of tonight's Election 72. Brought to you by J.C. Penney.
The strange music and a kind of unfortunate animation. But imagine how far we've come, what we can do now.
McGovern is holding a sizable lead with...
But we did know by 9 o'clock that McGovern had 5,000 votes in Massachusetts. Gellivan worked at the network back then. The graphics. By 1976, ABC seemed to have an abstract of a whale eating dinner as its graphic.
The mind of the guy who was designing the graphics was way ahead of the instrument that he had to use.
And with each election night comes more awesome graphics and whiz-bang technology.
This is an ABC News Special. The 80 Vote.
By 1980, TV was doing projections in virtually all races. And by 8:40 our time, ABC projected Ronald Reagan and a prediction in Utah.
In the state of Utah, we are projecting Scott Matheson, the Democratic governor, to win another term there.
But 20 years later, election night had become big time, kind of like Broadway. Okay, we were in the modern era now. There was no turning back.
The 2000 vote.
But gee, those days of red, white, and blue bunting wrapped around folding tables and all that paper, it was fun. Craig Wirth, ABC 4 News.
Oh my, how things have changed.
Incredible to
those
see that
graphics
footage.
were like the big thing back in those days. Really cool, right? All right, Craig's first election night here at the station, 52 years ago. He says all the manual counting of the ballots and the manual posting of the results made for some really long nights.
Yes, he also says the reporters wore out a lot of felt tip markers as they kept adding in new totals on the many slips of paper on those studio walls. Thanks, Craig.